We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jordyn Brooks. Miami Dolphins linebacker just had his best game of the season. He was like near elite in this one versus the Falcons. Loved what I saw out of Brooks, the aggressiveness that he played with downhill. And he, most of these veterans on the defense I don't see as like long-term pieces, but Brooks is definitely someone I think the Dolphins should be trying to look at as a long-term piece. I think it is hard to find good NFL linebackers. And he's just kind of gotten better as the year gone on. He's still been it's not been his best season, but he's still been one of your better defensive players. And I think, this game showed when like players around him are playing a bit better, situations are better, you're putting them in more advantageous opportunities. Brooks is able to take advantage and play a game of this level. And he's still relatively cheap. You got him at least for another year. I know they did like the signing bonus void year thing. Not many players I would extend on the Dolphins, but Brooks would be one that I would definitely consider the plays that he was making in this one. And he's also just like one of the more high energy, truly wants to win type of guys on the team that I think the team needs. And next year's class for like the draft class, the linebackers are pretty good. I'd love to pair him with like a young, stud linebacker and have him, and that duo could be, potentially disgusting to get one of the good ones. But yeah, Brooks, long-term option, played absolutely elite versus the Falcons. It was even looked quite like that versus the Browns. He's been definitely one of your better players, and he was shooting gaps. Clearly, knew the game plan. They were trying to, really stop Bijan from rushing, and he just really saw it. So they motion Kyle Pitts across. He bumps down, kind of becomes like this A-gap defender. Once he sees the flow of this play, identifies outside zone, and he sees like, hey, the center is going out to combo. I'm going to take advantage of this space. This is really good, like, just understanding of run concepts, doing your film study, knowing how the Falcons like to play, like the outside zone. This guy comes from like that McVay tree, so there's some Shanahan tendencies there. He knows once he sees him go out there, like, hey, I'm going to take this space. If they set the edge and do their job, I can beat 64 to the point of attack, which he does, flies downhill. That's just great instincts, athleticism, just good overall understanding of what the offense is trying to do. The game plan put Brooks in a position for him to, take that space. And then also I think the defensive line just did better up front, like taking on blocks. So it allowed Brooks opportunities. So like Sealer takes that double team, Chubb sets the edge. Grant's not getting pushed back. Everyone, Phillips is back here unblocked, able to make a play for a cutback. Everyone's doing their job, and it leaves Brooks with that, advantageous opportunity to shoot a gap and make a play. Here's another one where he sees that space open up, almost gets this safety, gets a tackle 3 yards for loss from the 4 on an outside zone. As again, just understanding the combo blocks. Once he sees the flow, outside zone, boom, he knows this guy's taking one-on-one. These guys are going to be the one that have to combo and climb to him. That center's never going to be able to get to him if he shoots up there, and he takes that space right away. Really good recognition skills from Jordyn Brooks. Like some real high-level gap shooting stuff right there, and we saw that on film a lot last season. Haven't been able to see it as much this season because I think, the defensive front was really struggling. The D-line was really struggling, holding their own at the point of attack. But I think these last 2 weeks, even versus the Browns, I know they give up 3 rushing touchdowns. They give up that one long rush. Most of that game, like they held, the guy to like 3 yards per carry. Like they were playing pretty solid run defense all around. Seems like the last 2 weeks they started to figure it out. And this week they didn't even give up any of the big chunk plays. So that's really, really good work from them. Also, Brooks, just one of the better blitzing linebackers in the league. Very comfortable. When they can get him to blitz, especially on like third down situations, Brooks can be used, as a stunt guy, looper, crash guy. You'll see him, take one for the team to open people up. But when you get him like one-on-one with a linebacker like Bijan right there, he's going to get after it, from Cousins. And Cousins doesn't have his first read open, and Brooks is on him. And, this is how you, like, people always talk about the Dolphins not finishing their sacks. And there's been plays like, yes, like the Herbert play, you didn't finish their sacks. But a lot of times the QB's just getting rid of the ball quickly. They're getting quick pressure, but that first read is open, or like they see the pressure coming, they throw it away. But when they have the opportunity to typically get the sack right there, like, actually wrap him up. Other than that Herbert play, they actually have done a decent enough job finishing like that. Here's another one. Like I'm saying, he's working a stunt here with Sealer, and he's the crash guy. Sealer, he dominates it so well here that he takes the alignment out of the play, but also wins it so much that Bijan kind of falls into Sealer. But he's able to still get that quick pressure, force a check down, and that was able to, get a nice little stop there. Brooks flies downhill. Love the aggression he plays with as a blitzer, and able to great balance here too, because you throw your whole body into that hip of that O lineman and able to stay on your feet and still get after the quarterback. It also just frees up Sealer too. Like very unselfish, does his job. I'm a big fan of Jordyn Brooks. He's always ever since like I was a huge fan of his addition last year, and he had a really good season last year. This year a little more up and down because the defense is just struggling in general, but he still has been one of your better defensive players. And I do believe he is still like I know he's leading the league in tackles and all that. I mean, sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing, but he is having he is one of those guys that I think you look at as a positive and potential building block, especially defensively, because you don't have that many, at least long term. Like, here's another one. This one, time is a looper. We've seen one where he just flies downhill, beats the running back to play attack. We've seen one where he's the crash guy. He takes out an offensive line. This one where he's the looper. They, kind of knife in here, A gap, B gap, and he loops around to the other side of, the other A gap, past the center, and then Phillips and Brooks are able to meet at the quarterback. It forces, a quick check down from Cousins. Like, people talk, like, this is what frustrates people, like, oh, they don't get sacks. Like, they win very quickly. Like, Phillips and Brooks win very quickly. The ball is just out. It's like, that's why situational and, like, cause and effect, like, understanding situations is so important. Because, like, who is getting, what defensive end is getting the sack here if Cousins is releasing this ball? No one. Now, Cousins has to hesitate and hold on to it. Like, they're getting the sack, obviously, they're hitting him. But it forces the check down, and they end up, stopping it. It doesn't matter anyways because they get the tackle and get the fourth down there. But really good blitzing stuff from Brooks. I feel like he looked really comfortable in coverage in this game too. Here they're trying to, basically pick play him and throw the swing to Robinson, but he works through that contact. He was kind of responsible for Bijan all game, and he's able to limit that yak to only like a 2-yard gain. Very good feel out in space, was making tackles. I just thought the whole defense in general tackled better in this game because tackling has been an issue for the Dolphins. But the stats back up, like, their tackling was much better. We saw Brooks winning plays when he had space. This time taking on blocks. He did a good job, I think, taking on a block here. An O-lineman just straight up square up the guy. You kind of stack, get control, and able to shed and make that play for a limited gain, especially because this was a 3rd and 10 situation where they're trying to run it, just to, get out of their own end zone type situation instead of taking the more aggressive route, and he makes a play. But yeah, like seeing him take on a block here, he takes on the insert from the tight end, does a pretty good job holding his own, peeling off, making the tackle. Maybe the guy gains a couple more yards than you would like, but still just constantly involved, making the right play. He's doing his job. And when, things are open up and he's able to make a big play, he takes advantage of that. But when he just needs to hold his own, be disciplined, control your run fit, win at the, point of attack versus blockers, he did that in this game. It was very impressive. Here on 3rd and 10, they're, trying to dump it underneath. He gains depth to take a potential, throw over the middle behind the sticks. Once he sees it dump down to Kyle Pitts, fly downhill, make that tackle, limit the yak. Basically, Kyle Pitts got a couple opportunities like this and didn't get any yak in those spots. And you get it to 4th down, which they end up stopping him on 4th down after this big play. So, doing some decent stuff in coverage. Like here in coverage, I think, he's communicating. Like here, they're trying to, work this 2-man concept, and him and Douglas got to communicate. Douglas takes the underneath stuff. Brooks might fly to this because he does kind of split this. Like he's the flat defender. He's playing as like one of the like seam hooks. And, in this situation, when he sits right here, he is in the kind of in between Brooks. Some linebackers might fly down and then it opens up the dig behind it. But Brooks stays patient, doesn't fly down, knows like, hey, I don't want to give this throw behind me. Good feel to take away this throw. Then it forces Kirk to check down, and then they're there to make a quick tackle on it. Very, very solid stuff. That Falcons game was very good. I even threw some Browns plays in here at the end because Brooks was very good in this game too. Able to avoid the block on the O-lineman, give him a little bit of a throw by, and then still showed the athletic range because you kind of had to stop your momentum. Look at the range to get out, down there and make that play on Sampson. Still limit it to like a 1-2 yard gain. Really good in pursuit and backside pursuit, backside range type of player. Here versus the screen, kind of similar situation. Beats the O-lineman to the point of attack, takes a great angle. Brooks is just playing at a higher level in recent weeks, Love seeing that. Like, look at the angle adjustment here to beat 77 at the point of attack. Stay in phase, boom, get over the top, make that tackle basically at the line. Here's another, tackle in the backfield. Browns are working some power here. So they pull the alignment. He sees that, get up, control this gap. Once he sees that he's going to commit to the inside, fly downhill, make that tackle in the backfield. Like Brooks is making a lot of good, like split second decisions, like knowing when to fly downhill, when to play with more as like a scrape backer, stay square, just take on blocks, understanding those situations, what his teammates are doing. Last 2 weeks have been at a very high level. And then also when they use him as a blitzer, he's been effective all year long. He's obviously a very good athlete, very aggressive player. Like seeing this from Jordyn Brooks. He's one of my favorite defenders to watch for sure. And it sort of continued. This was definitely just the best defensive performance of the season, and he played a big part in that. They didn't score a touchdown until they pulled the starters. Like when they scored in this game, Brooks was already out. I think that's when they brought in KJ Britt and Willie Gay, and obviously by then it didn't matter. So really good stuff from Jordyn Brooks, really good stuff from the defense. I'll probably have an Ollie Gordon video out later today as well, so make sure to keep an eye on that. And I'll have the full defensive film breakdown out tomorrow. Leave a like, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.